Well, good morning, Brad. How are you doing
Morning,
today?
Dusty.
How's it feel sitting
Man,
right
it's so weird. I
You
can
can touch me.
poke you.
Don't touch me during this. We have a very special guest, and I don't need to be messed with. You got it?
Got it.
All right. Well, today we have a very, very, very special guest, somebody that we've been hoping to have on for a while now. Glad it's happened. We've teased it. Welcome to the show, Drew Hadley, formerly, but also kind of still presently, New Approach School for Jewelers, and of his fresh new store, Southern Diamond Jewelers. Make sure I get that right. Drew, how you doing?
Nice.
Good. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and I've watched you guys just grow, and it's amazing to see.
Well, I don't know about all that, but we're doing our best to. I don't know if maybe people appreciate that this is just looks like we're trying to figure it out in real time.
Yeah, and it's you guys make it so easy the way you talk and just have a conversation. So it's always a fun show to listen to. Like last week, I listened to a couple episodes that I hadn't listened to yet while I work on jewelry, and it's always good to hear other things, learn from other people and inspiration too.
Yeah, well,
We're inspiring, Dusty.
yeah.
We're inspiring the masses.
One day we'll actually maybe start actually helping people in a real way. Right now, I think we're just a convenient distraction while people are setting stones and sizing rings.
Yeah.
That works too.
But hey, that's why I said when we started this, we just finally pulled the trigger because I'm like, I listen to podcasts and watch YouTube while I'm over on the bench over there. And I was like, there's nothing like this. So let's just do it and see what happens. So here we are.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I have a hard time listening to like music when I work. It's got to be either podcast or like YouTube educational videos on like something that if it's sports or if it's finance, if it's, whatever it is. When I listen to music, I just like daydream and I don't remember working on the piece. Like I'll get done and there could be 100 stones in it and I literally do not remember setting one with music, which I don't like that feeling. Some
Right.
people do, but I'm like, I like to be able to remember putting a stone in, but like podcasts or like people talking, like I remember everything.
Yep.
That's all. Same. Don't say same. When you're working, you don't listen to.
I would, but then I have to.
If I turn mine up loud enough, you
I have to hear you whine. So
I'm a little soundtrack myself. All right, so Drew, obviously we want to talk about New Approach. So for those who, so many people who listen to this or watch this, they know who you are. They've met you. I'm sure to you, it's 1,000 different faces and names that is hard to put together. But so when did you start at New Approach and how long were you there?
Yeah. I'll kind of give you like kind of how I got into jewelry and then how it leads up to New Approach. Those who don't know me, I started my career pretty young. My father was a dentist and he had a dental lab, and I'd go in. I remember after high school and tinker around with like denture repairs and Invisaligns. He'd pull out a gold tooth and I would weigh it out and I'd be like, hey, we can get X amount of dollars for this, and I would try to make a little money doing that, as in like buying the gold. But like the dentures and Invisalign I would just do because I enjoyed working with my hands. But like I hated the teeth aspect, the part about teeth, right? And I was like, there's no way I'm going to college for 8 years. Like, not a possibility,
that's what
barely got through high school. I just kept C's to play sports. So I was like, this is not happening. But I like jewelry. Like I'd see, somebody wearing a ring or a necklace or even a big gemstone. And I remember in high school, I'm like, can I look at that? And I was amazed that either somebody made that or, the gem came out of the ground over 500 years, 1,000 years, whatever it is. So right out of high school, I went to the Texas Institute of Jewelry Technology for 1.5 years. And I did like, a year of like bench work. And then I did 6 months of CAD work. I started on like Matrix 5.4. And then it went to like 6 right after that. But like I was about to do stone setting there and we get ready to start and they pop in a DVD and it's Blaine Lewis's DVD. And I remember I was like, time out. I was like, we're going to learn stone setting from him. I was like, why don't I just go there?
Yeah. So
I finished up and I was actually the class president at the time. So I think they like all probably throw darts, at a photo of me. So I went from, Texas straight into a 3-month program with Blaine in Virginia Beach. But before I did the 3-month program, I took a 1-week class with Blaine when I was 17 to make sure like, hey, like I saw his DVDs brief and I was like, man, this guy's a wealth of knowledge. Like, they didn't have cameras at the school I went to in Texas. So like, I was like, that's kind of what I need to be able to learn. It's more like handouts. Well, I got like a 4th grade reading level. So I was like, handout, no joke. So I was like, handouts to me is not going to go well.
No.
So I went to and did Blaine's first 1-week stone setting class and then went back, finished CAD. And in Texas, and then I signed up for Blaine's 3-month program. And then from there, and that was like the 1 week I did with him was either like 2010. I think it was right at 2010 early. And then I took Blaine's 3-month program in 2011. And from there, I did a fabrication internship in Wilmington, North Carolina. And then from there, that's when, I knew Jason Marchiafalo from teaching me hand engraving and, just always staying. And then that's when I went to go work at Tiffany and Company, where he worked for a few years. And then I knew I wanted to be more south. And, I reached out to Blaine. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about moving more south. And he's like, are you interested in maybe teaching some stone setting stuff? And then we just were a great fit. Both similar people, very visual, not book work. So I was at New Approach for 13 years. So I think that I started in 2013 for New Approach because I've been there 13 years. And then, I was talking to Blaine about just how I, missed creating and missed, because even at New Approach, I would still do stuff, here and there, but it was like always in the evening. But I was like, I miss creating. I think I'm going to, open a store and, gave him, I think like a year and a half notice, and he was so supportive and was like, I understand, like, you're going to do great. And like, he still is, teach some classes there still, which is, great because he is family to me. When you've worked with somebody 13 years and, help them grow, and he helped me grow tremendously too. So it's kind of like, he's like a second dad, second brother, second uncle, all of them put together, mentor, everything.
Yeah.
So still beautiful relationship. And I still teach. This year will be 4 classes, but I can't really do any more than that when you got a store. But last year I was doing the store build out. We finished the build out in February, opened up, and it was a gravel floor, did a build out, and I continued to work in New Approach all year because when you got classes, you can't just feel like, oh, sorry, here's my 2-week note. I would never do that anyways, when you've been somewhere that long. But I was like, I'm fully committed. So I'd come into the store some evenings to help out, and then every Saturday, weekends to work.
Dude,
so it's many of 80-hour weeks.
I bet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think, and obviously this episode is more getting to know you, talk about all your experience, and it's not a plug for New Approach, but I went for just the 1 week stone setting comprehensive because worked in a store, learned a lot just from, kind of more in an apprenticeship type role. But there's just some things that that jewelers and bench jewelers don't get like some focused attention on. So, and that's what is so amazing about New Approach. I went and it was like, even after I left, I mean, it's been 8 years since I went for that 1 week class, and every year I'm like, man, I got to find a reason to go back. And like you said, once you have a store, it's just kind of,
it's hard.
It's really hard to squeeze it in and pull it off. But I think what Blaine has built over there is nothing short of amazing for the jewelry industry. I think you should find a way to really expand this and like have branches all over and bigger classes. But I get it. This is the type of thing that's probably done more on a local level. Like when I remember, being there and he's teaching, and then you'd walk around and check everybody's work and give pointers and encouragement, all that stuff. But it's just an amazing setup. So I can't speak more about New Approach.
I think what makes hard too is like what makes that school New Approach is obviously Blaine's huge into that, because what makes it special is Blaine. He's an amazing teacher, wealth of knowledge, no ego. He's the kind of person that if share anything he knows with anybody. So it's like people are like, well, you could open another one on the East Coast, or it's like, well, there's not a second Blaine. It's like there's other schools out there, and they're different. So it's like that's what I tell them. Like, you don't understand, like, Blaine's work ethic and just the drive he has and teaching.
I know you don't have to speak for him since you work so closely with him and he's basically family. I know you could allude to this, but one of the things I remember, it might have been the first day there, like he kind of goes into like, it's kind of like checking everybody's ego when you walk in the door, which I always found interesting in this industry. When you get people who have a wealth of knowledge, an ego usually follows. And he's so quickly on day one to just be like, hey guys, we're just people setting stones. We're not special. But if you could talk about how he would describe that, but also like how it sounds like that's how he lived it out too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think it's kind of like some really good mixed martial arts people. Like they walk around all over. They're not the ones picking fights. They're usually calm as a cucumber. Until like obviously something happens, like if they get in a fight. But those are the guys that walk around and like they don't have to go out and tell people, oh, I'm good, because it's just and also the biggest thing, like Blaine remembers what it felt like to struggle. And like we'll try to get him on here and he'll tell you that, but like I remember what it felt like to struggle too. So it's like a lot of jewelers forget that. They've been in it 30 years or however long, like they don't remember what it was, to feel like. And it's the same thing I tell people, like you don't remember when you fell when you walked as a kid. You're 1 years old, right? So it's like you don't remember walking across and just eating it on the pavement, and getting back up and dusting it off and figuring it out. That's one thing like he's been the best at, is not forgetting what that felt like. So he tells people like, hey, this is normal. Like it will smooth out. You have to learn to walk, then run,
Yep.
on that kind of thing, And it was funny because like when I was at the school, people would call me like, hey, I need to get in this pave class. And I'm like, well, have you ever set a stone? And they're like, well, no, I just need to learn how to make grills or, diamond set watches or whatever it is. Right. And I'm like,
Right.
listen, like you're doing a full marathon and you haven't even learned how to walk across,
Yep.
a floor yet. Like
Yep.
you got to back up and learn your fundamentals of walking, and then you can start jogging, then you can start running, then you can start racing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When it comes to that. So he's been amazing, when it comes to remembering that.
Yeah, I mean that was my biggest takeaway is even while I was in the class on the bench, like every day I would think like this is yes, I'm learning to walk, I'm learning the fundamentals, and I remember telling myself now when I go back to the shop here, I have to practice, I have to do this, and I can see why if people don't have that opportunity to practice that walk, walking and crawling, then it's a struggle, which is why we were joking before this morning. We were texting how like today after we're done, all my stone setting jobs are I have a ring that's got I think 5 or 4 bezel set stones, and they're all different shapes.
Yeah.
I just and that was one of the things that I didn't when I got back from New Approach. I wasn't doing a lot of bezel settings, so then now when I have to do it, I'm like really struggling. I'm really slow. I can make it look good, but it's not always something I look forward to, and so that's what I got.
Yeah. And those are, in my opinion, one of the hardest settings. It's one thing to make a paper thin bezel and push it over with a bezel burnisher and silver. Like that's not a, what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say it's not a bezel because it is, but it's not like a real hand cut thick bezel. It's like bezels, in my opinion, are my hardest struggle too. No doubt, because it's very easy to turn the stone the wrong way and then cut the wrong way on whatever the situation is. When it comes to that, and like that kind of like to, the thing about like not having egos or whatever, like I'm a big believer too. You never stop learning, like people be like, I'm a master, and I'm like, that's great if you want to call yourself that, but like,
Right.
I ain't never met one,
No.
It's a master means you know it all.
Right.
And this industry's changing with AI, with whatever the situation is, it's changing fast. So it's like, I love to take a class a year. Like even when I worked for Blaine, I was like, hey, I'm going to take off for a couple of weeks and go to Europe and study pave. And he's like, awesome. I had a second car at the time. I'm like, I don't need this thing. Sold it. 35% on the Euro exchange, and got a hotel and went over there and I studied with Alexander Sidoroff, and just continue to grow that way. It's like I love classes too. Even if you don't think you're gonna like use it all, you will learn a lot in a class. If it's a good class. So like I still want to try to get it in a class a year. Things like that.
Now that's speaking of like the egos and stuff, I think I remember. Well, I've noticed obviously that Blaine is kind of stays off of social media, and you seem to be a little more reserved in social media too. Is it just because it's just all the egos are just kind of
not really? It's more time, it's time gets by, and it's like I remember at the school some days I could get 80 texts a day, still do today, and my wife's like looks at me, she's like, how do you get that many texts? I'm like, because I don't give my number out to a lot of 1 week people, like just because I just can't.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to. It's just like, but 3-month students I had to, because they're here for 3 months. They're in a traffic jam. If they're sick, So I mean, after 13 years of long programs,
Yeah.
it's like that. That's it'd be, I don't know, 700-800 people probably just out of the long programs. Have my number, so it's like they're asking me little stuff or whatever, and sometimes it's good because maybe I'll ask them, right? Um, so it's just like it's not that I don't really want to, and same with him. It's just time goes by, especially when you're working and you're putting all your time into, say, teaching, right? You get there at 7:15, make sure the coffee's hot. Everyone's got to have coffee, and then it's like you leave at 6, you get home, and you're just like mush, you know.
Oh.
So I think it's more of that, and I know like I want to be more, better on, more active. I know Blaine does, but it's just like we tell ourselves that, but it's just
Oh yeah.
there's a happy medium, right, to balance.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I don't blame you one bit. I was thinking about this before we hopped on the call with you because I'm hoping I probably should have let you think about this for a little bit. With your 13 years there has to be like a couple just crazy wild stories of just something that's happened with some students or some people that came through there. I don't know if somebody, blew up something, broke something, or just did something crazy. There's got to be a couple stories over the year.
There's probably a ton. Yeah.
Surely you could tell us one or two good ones right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just need a second, but there's probably so many. I got to think for a minute.
Because I was a perfectly normal student, and with the people I was there with, it was very calm. But I'm sure there's some wild stories that involve.
Yeah. I'll think of one and stop us and tell us some. My brain is.
I guess with that, then, so this might help transition into if there's any crazy stories. Are there any? And you can name drop or not, first name, or just not say names if you don't want to call them out. But there's got to be some memorable students for the good and the bad that are just like, man, these people just stick out because, for one, maybe they just went off and just are incredible, or maybe there's another one that's just like, man, this dude or gal was just a disaster from day one.
Let's hear about it.
Definitely. I mean, because people don't understand, like, a lot of people like sign up for a jewelry class and they think it's like beaded 101 or something. And like, like those, even like the comprehensive classes are like, I could see somebody being on the bench 3 years and they learn a ton from, you know what I mean? Or it's like I would teach and I would pick something up from somebody else, There's a reason why the school is called New Approach, not Old Approach. It's because like that's the beautiful thing of having 24 people in a room. Like people show you stuff that you're just like, why didn't you think of that? And I had a lot of people who would show me stuff and I'm like, where was this 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, but yeah, I mean, there'd be students that would, come in and a day later be tear up. But I mean, they vet it now so much better than it used to be, used to be like not as vetted, and then they were just like, hey, people need, more. If it's coming from a store, they're kind of vetted, right? Because you're not going to work at a store if you don't like it. With like 3-month programs, if you're under the age of like 20 now, they make you take a 1-week class because, a lot of 20-year-olds, they don't understand you're getting into boot camp, like you're moving from halfway across the country, whatever. And it's not that it's an age, but it's just more like you have more life experience when you're over that age, if it's whatever it is, it could be good or bad, but like in the 3-month program, like, if by week 3, like if you weren't going to make it, Blaine would, have a talk with you and give you your check and be like, hey, you're just not going to make it, And I know there was times where like he doesn't put up with any tardiness, which I didn't either. Because like if you can't show up on class on time, you're sure as heck not going to go to a jewelry store on time. Yep. And it's not even about like, yeah, 10 minutes late, fine. But it's disrespectful to your classmates that paid a ton of money to be there. And then you walk in, you're like, what's going on? Like, I didn't get to see that, or, whatever. And there was times that, Blaine would tell people like, hey, if you're not here tomorrow, your check will be on the door with tape. And there's one time he taped it to the door and locked it.
That's correct.
But you kind of have to do that because if not, it's almost like a free for all, where if you don't run a structure, it's very easy to you got one person in class that, thinks they're Michael Jordan and, it's very easy to make a bad, environment. But Blaine and, I feel like I did a good job of trying to not have any of that.
No, that's good.
And it's like, how high definition the camera is. It's like you could take my work and pick something apart, right? You could take, really anyone's work. So it's like if somebody had an ego, all you got to do is show the class their work on camera, and that's over with. Not that we did that, but it's just like,
But you could.
yeah, it humbled most people anyways, because like when they'd see their own work on camera, they'd be like, okay, I do need to practice. Funny story is like one time Blaine set a stone, did a great job on it, but like he passed around the room. Well, I came in or whatever, and I was like, hey, does anyone need me to check their work? And guy in class was really good. He brings it up to me. He's like, hey, can you look at this? And he's like, be real hard on it. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Look, I'm like, stone's just a little bit off. I say it's good, but it's just he's like, good, because that's Blaine's demo. And I was like, great.
Was Blaine there for that, or was that all
done? I think he was there for that, yeah.
Just rip it to pieces and be like, oh.
Yeah, I'd pass my own demo out, and someone's brought it to me, and I never got it back, and I'm like, wow, it looks really good, but I think you should just work on that spot right there. And they're like, this is your demo. And I'm like, yeah, makes sense.
Right.
Makes sense. That's the thing. You're never going to make a perfect piece of jewelry. So it's like,
no.
And that's where I see a lot of people struggle, is like, they want that perfection. It's like, if you're a straight A student, those are the hardest to teach because, they've been straight A's. So it's like, they want that. So they will nitpick their piece so much until they just tear it apart. You know what I mean? They chase it with a rubber wheel, they chase it with a file, and they chase it with emery. I'm like, man, it was great. Like, if you can do good work under a microscope, it's great work to a loop.
Exactly. Yep.
So they would chase it under a microscope at 20 power, and then they would just basically wreck the piece and have to restart, because I'm like, there's that happy medium of where do you stop?
Yeah, I remember when I was there, because we had the option to, if you had a microscope at your store on your setup, you would encourage using the microscope, and I didn't have that, so I didn't use it, and then like a year or two later, I ended up getting a microscope here, and I was like, dang it, I should have been doing this the whole time. But also, yeah, it's like, dang, I did not realize, because it looked good to me under 2 times magnification. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely a game changer. I mean, I was blessed that like, I went straight to I had to at Tiffany's. Like, I tried to loop for like 3 days, and I was like, I think I'm going to get fired, because I've never used a scope. And, at first it's a little awkward, and, there's a light learning curve, because you're like more 2D instead of 3D. It's like you're looking through something. Depth of field's different, and I was like, I don't have a choice, and this is the best thing I did, because, I still have 20/20 vision. I've set a ridiculous amount of stones. Your posture's fairly good with the scope, or at least it should be. It's kind of like you're talking at a dinner table, and, where with an Optivisor and a loop, your back's all hunched over, you're straining your eyes. So it's like, I tell people, like, you're not just investing in better quality work, you're investing in yourself, with your health, which is, it's crazy to me how many stores won't buy a microscope. They're sending someone to get trained, spend the money on a hotel, spend the money on a food, spend the money paying them to be there, spend the money on the class, and then be like, at the time microscopes were like Leicas were like $1,750. Now I think they're like 25, 26, 2,700, whoever you buy from. And I'm like, but still, even at 2,500, you just spent $5,000, with hotel, airfare, food, class, paying your employee, and then you won't buy the $2,500 scope that they need. That's the kind of stuff that bothers me, that I would be like, I just don't understand that.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure, because I remember we were there was, if you went through their class or one of their programs, you could reach out, because I think that's where I ended up getting my scope from. It was after like a couple years later. I was just like, hey, I was a student there.
Yeah.
And I want this like a microscope, and I think you guys took care of everything.
Yeah, they do sell a ton of tools to students, and they help out and try, because a lot of students, like, you get on Stoller's website or Rio's, it's like, there's so many tools. You're like, which one do I need? Which one don't I need? What's good about, taking schools there is that, they can help put together, what you need or what you don't need. Because a lot of tools are duplicates, like this plier, that plier. It's more preference at that point.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, their scopes price is one of the best price outs that there is, because they don't sell tools to make money. They sell tools to, help the students. It just continued to grow, because, when I worked there was a lot less tools than, now, but they just kind of grew, because more people would call and be like, hey, where do I find this, or where do I find that? And it just kind of made sense. But they just sell to students, because they're not set up like Rio, Stoller, nor do they want to be like that. They're not made to set up and overnight me a pair of pliers or a rubber wheel. Like go to Stoller, Geschwein, Rio, Auto Fry, whoever you buy from based on that. But if you you go take class there and you want to save some money on microscope or the Graver Max, they're great for that.
Yeah, and so that'll kind of lead me to the next transition, because obviously there was a ton of perks, not just learning and the relationships and the tools and all this kind of stuff. So a lot of bench toolers could say, man, Drew had the ideal setup, going to work with Blaine every day, helping students, walking around. And then after 13 years, you decide, you know what, instead of doing this, I want to deal with the public. And so you got to walk us through, because most people would want to do the opposite. I'm like, how do I get out of this and go do what Drew was doing?
Yeah.
So walk us through that.
I mean, I think, too, a lot of jewelers think, well, if I can't be a jeweler, I'll be a teacher. Well, they don't understand.
No.
The teaching's not easier, at least if you're a good teacher. Like, I remember my brain would be mush. Like, my wife would talk to me, and I could just see through her, and that means you're kind of doing your job, right? It's not like you're just like whatever. But, it's like my biggest thing is, like, I would see so many of my friends or people that I trained, like, make beautiful stuff, and I just missed it, and then I had the opportunity, to open this with my best friend. We went to middle school together, elementary school together. We worked at Tiffany & Company together. He used to manage. So we went from I got him the job at Tiffany's, and Jason Marchiafava put him through a pretty intensive, his name's Cameron Harrell, put him through a pretty intensive stone setting program at Tiffany's. And then he sat on the floor next to me for a few years. And then have you heard of King Baby? They do like silver rock and roll jewelry.
Yeah.
He helped run their production for a year or two, and then he went to Metairie, Louisiana, and worked at a super high-end store there for 10 years, and he was a diamond setter for 5 of those years, and then he did management 5 of the years. So he's a wealth of knowledge on the retail side that, like, I wasn't. Like, my game is custom. My game is, educating my customer on what they're getting, and he's great at educating too, but his game is more like retail, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like to explain like the people that, could sell a water balloon to somebody, it's like, those are your good retail people. But I mean, I do enjoy talking to people, and it's more like I enjoy educating people. So I try to treat all my clients like a student to an extent. I have almost the same setup that Blaine has at the school. Camera, it's linked to this big TV over here. I'll kind of show you. So that's linked to my jeweler's bench, so somebody can sit at the bar where I'm sitting now, have a cocktail, watch me do the repair on camera. Sometimes I'm like, hey, you're missing a stone in your channel. You want a glass of wine or sparkling water while I put it back in for you? You can watch me do it. So I still try to get my sales like, hey, this person knows nothing about jewelry. Let's start with, treating them like a student to an extent. And it works a lot.
I treat our customers like idiots. So it's kind of the same. But
well, you have a few. I mean, that's retail.
Hey, when you're dealing with the public, you're going to see it all. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the big, I know it's crazy. I know we've mentioned it, but not since we probably started recording these podcasts. But right behind our head here, now that's only hooked up to our laser. So everybody gets to watch Brad work and not me. Because if there was a camera over there on my bench, everyone would probably leave because it's disgusting and I'm not organized. It's so bad.
But we got ours in our shop on a camera too, our laser.
Dude,
it's awesome.
It's so easy for, like you said, for just teaching, explaining, showing, because sometimes it feels like you're like a mechanic. Before you had the camera, you're just explaining, oh, well, you need all your prongs retipped. And you're just like, oh, really, do I? But then when you the camera and say, hey, look at, and they're like, wow, yes, I really do need to do that. It builds trust. And
100%.
They're not watching us work on their piece, but they're seeing, Brad work on a piece. So at least but even still, he could be working on a piece. I'm hammering on a ring and somebody comes in and is like, do you guys do repairs?
I get that all the time too.
Or do you guys out, or y'all do it here? I'm like, it looks like a shop in here.
It does look like a shop. Kind of similar. I tell my customers too, like, I hate going to the car dealership, getting my oil changed, and then be like, oh, by the way, it's going to be $1,700. You got this wrong with your car. And I'm like, do I really? You guys just like, so it's like, that's why you have to nowadays have some type of camera. If it's through your laser, if it's through a scope, or if it's on your bench, whatever the situation is, so you can really show your customers, look, you're going to lose your center stone because you have no prongs, or you got a crack in your gallery, whatever the situation is. Because at the end of the day, if they walk out of your store and you didn't show them that their stone was about to fall out, and it falls out,
Yep.
I mean, it's not, doesn't look good, right?
No.
I've learned all my lessons the hard way, because the first few years of just trying to, as a new store, like, oh, I'm not going to overcharge and oversell, like all this kind of stuff. It'd be like, hey, I'm just going to replace this one prong because that's what they need, and I'm going to do it cheaper than everybody else. And it only took a couple years of them coming back and like, well, you didn't tell me the other ones were. And then I'm like, man, that's a dumb mentality to think that way. And then it's also to say, like when you're buying the laser and you're like, well, the first laser I bought didn't have a camera. I'm like, I don't need all that. And so it's like, why not just spend the extra couple thousand for the camera?
Yep.
Spend a couple thousand for the TV. I know it sounds just like you were mentioning with the microscope. It sounds silly, but once you do it, like it makes selling repairs. I hate saying selling repairs, but you're just being honest with people and
honest,
and you make all that money back so fast. I know there's things in the industry that maybe seem like a waste of money, but cameras, and microscopes and just things for yourself and for the customers to see what they actually need to see it's always worth it. It's never a waste of money.
Yep.
100% agree on that, and it's wild because like I have some, people I know that own stores, which most people I know, I feel like owns a store or works at a store.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, they don't sell repairs. And I'm like, why? And they're like, cause I don't want to do them. And I'm like, okay, but you do realize when something happens, that person just brought you in the ring for a polish, and then they're going to wear it 6 months and the center stone's going to fall out. And they're like, it was just at a jeweler and he didn't say a word to me, or she didn't say a word to me. I'm like, that's a bad business model.
Yep.
And the people are like, well, I just want to do custom. I'm like, yeah, but repairs are very profitable. It's bread and butter at that point, and you're getting a client. Like it's a three-way win. Like what? I don't know if I'm missing something or they're just not thinking. When I hear that.
No, we have said it, but I love, honestly, that's why we're potentially, and this is years down the road, like we're trying to already think about how do we transition kind of like open to the public. Not that we wouldn't, but more private, more by appointment. But to supplement that, just take more repairs, because we don't mind doing repairs as long as they're done correctly.
Sure.
We like doing them. And I think with today's kind of the economy, the price of gold, the way luxury is going, I think the upper, higher end luxury is always going to be there. But for the average person to come get a nice ring, it's a little bit more of a stretch. So we're just seeing a lot of people, just like we saw, I think back in 2008, 2009, we worked at a shop that was mostly just repairs, and we would just be, we were never dead, where we weren't selling anything, but man, the money was coming in. And so I think learning how to do repairs now, and you can maybe speak into this, I don't want to backtrack to New Approach, but because the program, is there part of the program that just talks about like, hey, when somebody brings in a 20-year-old ring with the prongs worn out and the shank thin, how do you
heavily
do repairs?
Yeah, so the 3-month program, heavily. You learn to size rings at baguette channels, size rings that are taper baguettes from a size 4 to a size 10. How to cut the gallery, relief it, whatever. They talk about. Blaine's amazing at talking about old white gold, nickel. How to properly anneal it, how to not stress crack it. You work 1 week strictly in platinum. So, when you leave there, it's like platinum is your favorite metal because, you don't need flux, you don't need fire coat, you don't need pickle. Like, platinum is my favorite alloy. If it came yellow, I would never touch gold. But it has its downsides too. It's heavy, things like that. But, they do a really good job of, of talking about what to look for on a lot of stuff. It's not everything because it's 3 months, right? It's like me now. I'm still learning. Same with you guys. I'm sure you get into jobs where like, what did I do on this one to go this way? And how do I get it back this way? And that's just kind of what makes jewelry different. It's not a set plan. You can go in and have any plan you want.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's going to work,
There's so many, we'll take in a ring and it's like, oh, we're going to, do this, and we charge them. And then I get it and I'm like, okay, actually, because we kind of bounce jobs back and forth depending on what the job is.
Yep.
And then I'll see it and be like, all right, actually, before I do this, I need you to fix these two things. Send it back to me. You laser weld this. Send it back to me. I'm going to make an adjustment. Send it back to you. And it's just going back and forth. And I'm like, man, we did not think this through. And you just got to see a lot of repairs to kind of spot, okay, I see a problem here. Let's go ahead and try to get ahead of it. Otherwise, you learn the hard way real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And like the repairs in like Stone Center are so different. It's really like two sides of the brain. Where stone setting's one side, repairs are the other, or fabrication's the other. And it's like the people I see that are really good at like puzzles, Connect Four, chess, Find Waldo on that paper, whatever it's called. Those are your stone setters. And then you got the kids that are, or adults, whatever, that are really good at, here's a bag of Legos, no directions, build me something.
Yeah.
Those are usually your repair jewelers / good fabricators, like, and then you have people that are both sides of their brain are fairly trained well. But usually you have one dominant side of the brain as a kid doing something in your life. And I was always more of like, hey, find this missing piece that goes in this, or, Connect Four. My brain just sees diagonals and all that stuff, things like that. So stone setting came more natural to me than repairs and fabrication. And other people are different,
I think you might find this interesting. So I've known Brad here for like 20 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
So for most of the time I've known him, he's always done watch repair, mechanicals, quartz, all that good stuff. And so we needed some help around here. And I convinced him. I said, hey, if you'll just learn the laser, although he had some jewelry experience too from another school back in the day. But Brad, you'll have to feed into what he was just saying, because I feel like the laser is kind of like watch repair in some aspect. It's very detail oriented.
Yeah.
So his brain is different.
Yeah, my brain is also the solving puzzles, that type of thing. And so laser work to me, it's less creative, which I'm not a creative person. So to me, I just love it.
Sure.
Whereas a torch is more. It feels more like I don't know it's more. It's less mechanical. It's more artistic. I don't know. I think some people love the torch for that reason.
Yeah. I kind of explain like your laser. This is how I look at it. Your laser is more like playing a video game, where you have the kids that are really good, or adults, whatever, that are really good at getting on a computer and figuring out this game fairly quick, where other people need to do it a million times to be good at it.
Right.
And like torch is more like, playing sports to an extent, where it's usually like one of the other, like most people I know that are like professional gamers or whatever, they stay in their lane. They're just so freaking good at it. Where it's like me, I'm horrible at video games, but I'm decent at golf, decent at, I do mixed martial arts, things like that. So it's like, I kind of look at it kind of like that, because a lot of people are like, teach me the laser. I'm like, yeah, but it's like saying, here's one game. I'm going to show you how to master the game, play the game. Like it's more like that. I don't know if you've ever looked at it that way, but
yeah, I am a professional MMA fighter as well. So I don't.
One day we'll do like a live.
Do you do mixed martial arts?
No,
man.
He does not.
I don't know. It wouldn't shock me. You guys probably do it all. So
right, we do it all. We do.
Tell you what, we do a lot. So I'm looking at your backdrop behind you there.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at you on a tiny screen that's pretty far away.
Let's see.
But I've been distracted the entire time. So you got is this a bar set up in your shop, right?
It is. So we have a bourbon bar. It's about 12 foot. We actually have like 2 tequilas, but we haven't. It's only all been bourbon and whiskey. Primarily Tennessee, Kentucky, is your main. But we have stuff from everywhere. But it's like I've always been kind of a bourbon collector. I always enjoyed that. It's kind of like a craft, kind of like jewelry, where it's like, hey, this isn't vodka that Burnett's, right, or whatever, drinking as a college, whatever. It's like bourbon is like, it's got more of that craft feel, and I've always like had a thing in my head, like if I open a jewelry store, it is going to have a bourbon bar so people can sit down. And if they don't want bourbon, fine. We got coffee, we got sparkling waters, we can fix it. But it cuts the edge off, right? It's like,
sure does. Yeah.
I had a customer come in, and it was 2 customers, married, and he he's from Poland, didn't look in the best mood, and sits at the bar, and I was like, "Hey, you like bourbon, beer, like any of that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I love it." I was like, "Pick one out, pick two out, whatever." And he looks over and yells at her. He's like, "All right, honey, buy whatever you want." And she picked out like 3 or 4 things out of the case.
Awesome.
So I was like, it kind of, especially being in Tennessee, everybody, at least if you don't drink it, some people collect it, or care about the history behind it, or, it's different when things are aged 10, 12, 15 years. It's different than your standard boring, alcohol. So
we could have, and this might turn into, we could have a whole separate episode just on what you're talking about right now, because we're also big into bourbon. And
perfect. You guys got to come down.
But it's like over here, and then various places in the store we have some, and so we're a very small shop. We don't have the space, but we have just enough set up to where if people ask, we can offer it. But what's your favorite bottle behind you there? Right, because my eyes are not as good as they.
Oh gosh.
We can talk about what we want.
I don't like any bad bourbon. Honest, or like I don't like any. I don't think there's a bad bourbon. I mean, there's a few, but like.
What's your favorite distillery?
Oh, definitely Buffalo Trace. I'm a Weller guy.
Leader guy, huh? Okay.
I'm a Weller for sure. I mean, we got local stuff to everything. I mean, if I was gonna pull a bottle and this would be like what I'll probably have if I had to pull a bottle and just have a drink. This, I don't know if you have the new double oak.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. That's kind of like I'm enjoying that right now.
It's almost empty.
It is.
$200 bottle, just so everybody.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That means it's delicious.
It means you have to replace it soon.
I mean, Blanton's I like. I mean, I'm just really anything Buffalo Trace
Do you have any
enjoy.
BTAC stuff yet?
I don't think I do.
Man, you have. Yeah, well, me neither. Impossible to get, but
no.
What bottle did you just get?
So a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, a couple weeks
ago. I just got Jack Daniel's 14.
Nice.
I am a big both of us, we're a big Jack Daniel's fans. So 10, 12, and 14, since they started doing those.
I was on a Sinatra kick for a while.
That's something we drink.
I got a bottle back there. I had 3 bottles, and now we're down to like 1. But
so before we close the store for our Thanksgiving break, that's what we drink.
We drink Sinatra.
Oh, Sinatra. It's just smooth.
Oh,
it's good.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what the crazy story is? We have a store locally here that's been open for like 50 years. And so they were just like hoarding stuff in the back, and now they're going out of business. And so a guy locally, thankfully he had some people partner up with him, but they got a case of Jack Daniel's. It's just the old number 7, but it's from 2002. And that was the year that they changed from 86 proof to 80 proof. So these are all 86, and I just opened mine to try a couple nights ago, and it almost tastes like Sinatra. It's crazy how things taste from 20, 30 years ago, even though it was made the same way.
But, I remember when like Weller used to come in plastic bottles.
Oh yeah,
and then it was kind of like when I worked at Tiffany Company, I used to be able to get Eagle. Well, when I first started, I couldn't drink at a Christmas party. It was horrible, but I wasn't old enough. But then, when I was old enough, I remember I could get Eagle Rare for like $14 a bottle, $14.99 a bottle, and then it's just like the bourbon exploded. The hoarding started.
Now you're in Tennessee, so I don't think it's hit your market yet. But have you had a chance to try the Eagle Rare 12 year?
I have but I've had the Eagle Rare 17.
Oh, there we go. I have not even had that before.
Dang,
I've had an Eagle Rare. I haven't tried the 12, but I've had the 17. Yeah.
Stag?
Very good. What'd you say?
You got any Stag?
I don't have any Stag up there. We might in our loft. We have about, I don't know, probably an additional like 50 bottles up there. Because like my business partner collected too, and we just buy bottles like growing up, and we just hoard it. So like there could be bottles up there because we have maybe about 85 on the shelf. And I was like, man, if you can't pick something out of 85 bottles, like,
all right,
you ain't gonna find something you like.
Nope.
But have you guys been to Jack Daniel's?
We don't get out much, but we do not get out much. But I have a friend who finally got like to be one of the Jack Daniel's squires, and he said he's gonna put me in for that next. So hopefully,
Cool.
in the next year or so, we're gonna make our way back out there.
Yeah,
I was
because
actually
it's only about 45 minutes from my store.
well, that's what I was gonna say because I'm trying to hopefully in the next year or so. I was just talking to my wife because when I went out to Nashville, it's my first time out there. When I went to New Approach, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful, like all the suburbs and where New Approach is, and I've been wanting to take my wife back there ever since. She's she's more of like a beach girl, so I'm gonna have to do some convincing. It's gonna be even harder to convince her when I say, "Hey, while we're there,
We're going to Jack Daniel's,
and we're gonna go visit Drew and see what he's got on the shelf." And
yeah,
she's gonna be less interested.
yeah. Well, if you come down, I'll get us like a little tour. You, me, Blaine, and whoever else wants to come. We'll go to Jack Daniel's, and it's an awesome tour. It's one of the best I've been on. I mean, I've been on the Bourbon Trail, and Jack Daniel's. Just the history's so rich. They take you to the cave where they get the water. They show you the safe where Jack kicked it and, got an infection in his leg and it killed him. Like they got it all there. So the history's just, it's amazing. It's amazing history. Like I've done it like 3 or 4 times and I'm like, every time I learn something new, and it's really cool.
We're gonna have to. All right, we'll have to send you a couple samples from some local distilleries here just to see what you think.
Cool.
Because we've got some stuff. There's another guy out in Tennessee, and his name is slipping my mind right now. But we've already exchanged. He's a jeweler. I think I'm pretty sure he went through New Approach. So he's not. I know he's in the Nashville area, but we've already been exchanging samples back and forth a little here and there,
cool.
just to try new stuff.
Yeah, I would love to get in on that with you.
Oh, dude! All right,
swap some stuff. Yeah,
it's definitely going to happen. We've even joked. I think our goal is at some point we want to do like a barrel pick just for bench jewelers. And like sell up the barrel, but we need to make sure there's enough jewelers out there that we'll buy the bottles because I ain't buying no barrel.
Yeah, I tried to talk to Blaine, and it's just hard to get a barrel from Jack Daniel's because the list is so long. But I was like, if you can get on the list, get a barrel from Jack Daniel's, you pick it, you sample it all, and then put the New Approach logo on it.
Dude,
and it'd be a great collector bottle. If you pick the single barrel, and I think it'd be really cool.
That would be insane. I know if you go through like we've lost so many people right now. But if they're still listening, instead of buy me a coffee, please will donate to send me and Brad out to Nashville and to Jack Daniel's. We'll take it. Buy me a trip to Nashville.
Okay. We're figuring something out for sure.
But yeah, if he did that and went through like a local store or something, that's the best way to do it. We can talk about this later, but
yeah. We went from jewelry to bourbon.
Do you know how hard it's been to not mention it this entire time? I was like, I'm going to be professional until we get closer to the end before I mention all the bottles.
I'm like trying to see what is he at.
When I'm editing this, I'm just going to be like
zooming in.
Yeah,
zooming on the bottles while he's talking. It was just nice. Man. All right, we definitely probably don't need to talk about bourbon any longer. We're trying to get as many episodes for the summer as we can get saved up. But now I don't know if we're gonna have time. Should we do shop talk?
Shop talk.
Shop talk.
Yeah.
Shop talk, where we talk shop. Let's talk shop. Woo!
Brad, how's your basket of repairs?
Mine look great. Yours does not.
Here's the bad thing about my shop right now. All of our custom jobs, like when you're planning a month out, you're like, oh yeah, it'll be ready in about 3 to 5 weeks. They all came at the end of June, but in 3 days, I'm leaving to go out of town, and they're all due before I go out of town. And so I have got a crap ton of setting jobs. Like I mentioned, more than half of them are bezel sets. So I'm going to be here all day with the doors locked, working to try to get caught up. My basket, which is typically lower than Brad's because I force feed him everything, is not looking good right now. So Drew, tell us how your repair and custom project box is looking.
Well, repairs, unfortunately, we don't get a ton of repairs. We get a ton of custom,
You will get repairs.
Oh, I know it's coming. But when you look at like our edge, people are just shaking their head. They can't figure out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I try to sell repairs, but it's just custom wise. I mean, we could do anywhere from 6 to 7 custom rings a week, or more, depending on what it is. Poor Jake over there, he does a lot of cat for me. because like I know Cad very well, and it's just like, listen, I don't have time for that, and Jake's too good for it.
Yo,
You know, so I've been working with him for at least 5 or 6 years, maybe 7. You know, and he sometimes he probably like, what is Drew doing? You know, but I respect the sound out of him. He's genius of what he does. Very smart, and I've dealt with a lot of CAD people, and he's the most consistent there is. And he
like him too much because I don't want everybody calling him and using him. But
you can edit this part out.
Yeah, we're gonna edit it out. Don't worry.
But you know, I a lot of times I'll take a video of like the print on the screen and be like, no, this needs change and this needs change, and he's just probably like, whatever, dude. But he's awesome. So does a lot of CAD for me. Just leave a lot up, and then I have a guy that does my ZBrush. I kind of keep it separately, you know, based on what it is, and well, I tinker around with CAD, still do some, but it's like computers and me. I'd rather paint a wall than plan on a computer, you know. And it's, some people are just different, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I would say right now I'm 95% dominated with custom. Now, like you said, repairs will come, but like we haven't really done any advertising, you know, but selling a custom a day is keeping me very busy.
Dude,
you know,
do that and you're set.
Yeah, when you said 7 a week, I'm thinking that's like a good month for us. But we are bombarded with repairs at all times.
And that, dude, I'm the opposite. Like, I could do 10 repairs in a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, but I could maybe do 30 or 20 customs or whatever it is. It's sad when you do 4x much custom repairs. It's not sad, but it's just like, that just shows you that there's room to grow on the repair side.
Yeah. So you have how many people at your shop are like sitting on the bench every day?
So what makes us, I don't want to say different because other people do the same style. It's like, so we have my business partner Cameron, another amazing jeweler, Jerry Hoodie, went through the New Approach program. He's on the bench too, and then me, myself. So we all do the sales, we all do the bench. So it's nice because we're not dealing with a salesperson that's saying, yes, this is doable, you know, and we're all fairly productive or efficient, I should say. You know, so it's
also fairly productive.
Yeah, there's sometimes I'll do stuff in my business partner like, dude, that takes 3 bench jewelers to carry that month's worth of work.
Yeah.
I just got abused at a young age. You know.
Well, I mean, we feel your pain because that's what I think, and maybe that's why, you know, this is somewhat relatable what we're trying to do, because we have a part-time girl who is mostly just like customer service and sales, and she's here 12 to 14 hours a week. But so often, me and Brad stand up while working, setting stones, while in the laser, and just, you know, take the next customer. I think people really do appreciate that. It makes it very stressful when you're constantly being interrupted, which is why we have Mondays now for one, podcast 2. We can just, the amount of work we can get done with the doors locked is insane, because during the week it's just constant interruptions. So that's the pros and the cons of having too many repairs. That's for sure.
No, 100%. Because like a lot of repairs take a lot more time than custom. You know, it depends if custom's built properly nowadays. You got AI. Cat it in a couple pieces, soldered together, it's fully polished and set. Where repairs you get in, things just start moving on you, or it's like, you know, hey, you didn't realize the gallery was cracked in 3 places where you should have saw that. Well, now that's a problem, and then this is a problem, and then, you know, then she gets the ring and it doesn't fit her because who knows, her knuckle grew in the last week. I don't know. I'm just throwing out stuff, right?
Well,
so it's like
it does.
It's like 95 south.
Yeah, right.
I know that. Then she sits at the bar and has a bourbon and her knuckle swells on her. You know, so it's like, then I'm backtracking, and sometimes I'm just like, I could have built this ring fresh, you know, in the amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
We getting real good at that because in our area, it's the town has kind of exploded. So there's like an old part of this town that has like jewelry from the last 50 years. And then there's a new part, which I think is what's helping with the custom stuff. And it's like to go from like this beautiful, you know, Jake designed custom ring and setting the stones, and then, you know, being interrupted while you're doing that with like 4 like just absolute pieces of junk that you have to address. It's like, oh my, I don't know what I love it and hate it. I mean, at least it keeps this job is never boring. Like there's never, we're doing the same thing every day, but it's so different. it's just wild to me. I enjoy the industry. Is it what I would have thought I was going to do when I was in high school? Absolutely not. But here we are.
Yeah. I originally thought I wanted to be a cook. And then I worked in a kitchen. And I was like, there ain't no way. I mean, I would see, people throwing stuff at people. Like I would be getting off at midnight in high school, and I had to be at class at like 7. And I was just like, there's got to be another industry where I work with my hands, and I'm not dealing with, with this. And luckily, I found jewelry and fell in love. I kind of knew it was for me when like the day goes by, and I'm like, how is it 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And I didn't even recognize time went by.
Those are the good days here.
Yep.
I think our day is sometimes dictated by like, we're all the clients today, normal and nice and respectful. Because it only takes one or two to just be like, man, today sucked so bad. One of our clients is going to find out about this podcast and this video at some point and be like, wait a second.
That's what they call it.
And then we'll have to go to private jewelry and rely on wholesale work because we'll have no business anymore.
Yeah. We're blessed that, like, I think because we're so, we've been here so long, like all of our clients have been like, I'm not knocking anything. They've been dreams to work with. And everyone's like, oh, you haven't been doing it long enough, where it's like, but like one client came in and school ring, and I was like, she wanted us to put a black diamond on the inside of a ring, and I was like, oh, that's cool. What's that for? And she's like, it's for my dark soul. And I was like, oh. And she was a very cool client though, but when I didn't know her at first, I was like, oh, please tell me, this isn't going to be, a lot of back and forth changes and like changing and all that. And I was like, she loved the first prototype, and I was like, wow, she's been easy to work with. Yeah.
Dude, we did one. This was back when I first started using Jake years ago. We had a couple come in. They were like Harley Davidson couple. And they wanted the all black rhodium stuff, and we talked them out of that. So we eventually talked them into doing like pretty much all black diamonds, like everywhere, heavy claw prongs. I think it was like a lab grown ruby center. So it was like very black and red. That she still comes in, and that ring is still just looking. I mean, it doesn't look brand new. I mean, it looks like she's worn it for the last 10 years. But yeah, it's always. I like the weird stuff though. At least it's something different instead of the the hidden halos, and people think they have this original idea, and it's like they're going to change one little tiny thing from a picture they found online.
No,
dude,
it is what it is.
And people come in with like a Pinterest photo, and I'm like, yeah, it's got like a 0.6 millimeter shank,
Yes.
And I try to explain to them, like, I think this is because the average marriage in America is like 3 years. So the ring only has to last 3 years. That's what I think. Cause I'm just like, how can you sell that?
Right.
And I try to educate people like, listen, you buy this ring, you need a new shank next time you come in, that's going to be X amount of dollars, whatever it is, so I try to, educate, like, don't look at Pinterest stuff. It's good to have ideas. I like people to look at it. So don't get me wrong on that, but like, don't think you got to have it,
right.
Yeah,
a paper thin shank, or you got the customers that are like, I want to see no metal, and I'm like, well, that's impossible. You want a rubber ring? I don't know if you've ever had that, but I'm like, people are like, I want it set like this, how you see no metal, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, you have to have metal.
I would like this 3 carat set
super low, no metal, and I'm like, that's fine if it's just going to be in the jewelry box and you're going to look at how cool it is. But if you wear it more than once a year, I don't recommend that. I think the jewelry industry is I think we're super adaptable. I think sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. I'm curious to see how these high prices of gold and natural diamonds we're going to adapt. And I think that's maybe there's going to be manufacturers, especially the big box stores, that are going to be selling thin stuff, which is unfortunate. I think it creates a space for independent stores like yourself and us to be able to sell the idea of like, hey, this is a luxury item.
Yep.
And it comes with some cost, and to do it correctly, like it's worth the cost because it's something you're going to wear for 20, 30 years.
Right.
I think that's where we get to distinguish ourselves from like the online retailers and box stores and stuff like that.
Well, also buying online, you don't get an experience, and it's like we live in a world today where people crave experiences. I don't care if it's going on a trip, if it's whatever. If you cannot provide an experience to your customer, now it doesn't have to be a cool experience, as in like, it's just like them coming in and meeting you is an experience. Them coming in and talking to the jeweler is an experience. Like that's completely different than clicking a button online and getting your ring in the mail, right? So like if you cannot provide an experience, just like a restaurant, right? Like if restaurants don't have a good atmosphere and you don't have a good experience there, you're not going back. But it's like that's what sets apart your $30 steak and your $100 steak, right? Is the atmosphere, the experience, the service, like because there's a lot of dive bars that that the building doesn't look crazy cool and the inside doesn't look crazy cool, but the food's amazing, the service is amazing. I go back there all the time, right? So it's like you don't have to have this massive store in today's world where you got all the jewelry you want. Like all you have to do is provide a good experience and something that someone's going to enjoy when they're there. And that's why I think like the big mega stores, like I don't want to say big box, but I could, they have a problem because they got salespeople down your throats and they don't provide an experience. They provide, okay, come get your ring in 6 weeks. We'll call you when it's ready.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They don't allow them to talk to the jeweler. They don't show them a 3D print. They don't show them a rendering. They don't even know what the heck it's going to look like. And then it doesn't look like what they want because, of course it's not, because you guys weren't on the same page by not showing them the print, not showing them the render, whatever it is. And then it's a bad experience.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, sometimes Jake Fox's renders will kind of do the opposite because they look amazing.
They're so good, man. He's
like,
a wizard at rendering.
And I'm like, dang it, Jake. I was like, can you make it look like not as perfect?
Can you make it look a little junkier? Yeah, no, his renders are the best of the best.
So much.
Yeah.
I love when he pushes back too. Like you were saying, like when you're like, hey, I just need you to do this because the client they're not going to leave it alone. And he'll just be like, well, I'm not. And here's why. And I'm like, I know you're right, Jake, but you don't understand.
I know. I tell him too, like, because like he said a good point the other day. And I'm like, I mean, he is right. Very rarely am I ever like, I don't agree with that. Like, I don't, maybe once, or I don't know if I ever ran into that with him because he's so damn good at what he does. But I've had that exact moment where I'm like, hey, I don't care. I have to get this sale. Like the person's already put down their deposit. It's an $8,000 ring, whatever it is. They've already put down the deposit. I just have to make this stupid change. Like I don't care if you want to recharge me the whole CAD. Like perfectly fine. Because at the end of the day, I already have the deposit. So
Yep.
Exactly.
And then I always put at the end like, respect you, love you, whatever. So it's like kind of warm it up a little bit.
I have so many fun conversations with Jake after 10 p.m. So we've been joking. I haven't even told Brad because he's like, hey, you guys should do like a segment where it's like bench jewelers after dark, where it's like unedited, uncut.
Gosh. That'll be fun though.
He was like, I'll have to please just make sure I'm on as many episodes. And I'm like, well, Brad's asleep by 10 p.m.
Right. So it'd be Jake and Dusty.
It'll just be Jake and Dusty. We'll go live at like 11 p.m. Eastern time, like once or twice a month, and just
I'll watch it at 6 a.m.
And if people are up, they can just hop on and you watch the next.
People would stay up for it. Some people are night owls, right? Like they would be. Right. There's people that want to work that make jewelry at nighttime because they that's just what they do.
Oh yeah. The two extremes. You get the bench jewelers who would prefer to just stay after the stores close, and then there's ones that show up at like 6 a.m. and like, man, I can just get so much done first thing before the shop opens. I
think that's where like stores, kind of struggle with their bench because like a lot of bench jewelers, at least I've trained, like they want to be on the bench and not retail. Like they don't want to talk to people. So it's like I think some stores, it's hard because like their salespeople aren't educated. Like I think every salesperson needs to take a 1-week class of new approach because it's like you got no business selling something that you don't know what it is. Like,
right.
Just like me, I'm not going to go sell like Botox. I mean, what that, you know what I mean? Like wouldn't be any good at it. So it's like the problem I see is a lot of salespeople are just like, yeah, no problem. Yeah. And they have no idea it's not feasible. And it's just, and it's because and I get it. Cause like the people that want to be on the bench, that's why they're on the bench. That's what I think the hardest part for jewelry stores is they don't have that, at least one jeweler that's a good communicator. I don't want to say communicator because most bench jewelers are great communicators, but it's like, but they don't mind going out and working the retail a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, we have. I think one of the things I do love about our setup, again, everybody's setup is going to be a little different, and so like we're right here, Brad's right here working. The point of sale is like literally right where this camera cuts off, and then my bench is right beside on the other side of the point of sale. So even our part-time girl, she's either watching us work or while the customer is explaining to her what they need, and she's talking like we're listening and we're watching, even if we're not watching. And then she can just literally reach her arm out and say, "Hey, can you double check this?" So she's getting to hear the explanations, the whys not, so that she's just not out on the sales floor separated from us, so that she doesn't know what's going on. She's not learning. And so I think that's been super beneficial just to have our benches basically out on the sales floor. I mean, we can't hide from anybody.
And mine, you really can't hide from me either. Let me see if I can show you this. But like, I have a glass wall that's like 12 foot that goes right into my shop.
Dang.
You know what I mean? So it's like you ain't hiding through that wall either. You know, we got a door. Like if I need it shut, I'll shut it. But like I encourage like customers, like you want to come back and see what's going on, just walk in the back. Like watch the TV, whatever it is, you know. So it's like I love the stores, you know, where you know your bench is in the shop, you know, because it allows a lot of trust to be built, you know, when it comes to that, and you know the stores that say, oh, you're not allowed to go in the shop, which I understand for safety stuff, fine, sure, I understand for distraction, I understand all that, but at the end of the day, this is like a very transparent game, you know, where it's like people need to see the jeweler working. They need to see the tools just because it makes them feel better, you know?
Obviously, there's extremes where there are instances where, for the most part, 95% of people come in and are like, oh, that's cool. You do the jobs right here. We can kind of see it. It is transparency. It's an illusion of transparency because they're not watching us do their job per se.
Sure, no, 100%, and I don't allow that all the time either. Like,
and then there's people that are just, but yeah, there is a threshold where it's like, okay, you're not going to trust me no matter what, and we're started off on the wrong foot. And respectfully, I don't think we can help you because you're coming in accusatory.
Sure.
And all these things. It's like nobody. That's a lose-lose for me and the client. So just respectfully say like, hey, you really have to find somebody you trust. We try to make it transparent here. We're the only two people who do the work. We're the ones working here. We're the ones taking it in, answering the phones. If you don't like that level of transparency, then I don't know what to tell you. Just keep looking for another jeweler. And then sometimes just saying that out loud, they realize how they sound, and it kind of de-escalates the situation. And they're like, okay, well, you know, can I pick it up in, you know, X amount of days, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like, though, like if you can see the jeweler, you can't get any more transparent than that. Like, look, we're not sending your stuff out. The jeweler's sitting right there working on the bench. Like, you know, whatever it is. And it's like, at that game, like, no one's going to please them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like people that go to the best steakhouse there and they still complain.
Yeah.
You know, like you just got the best steak in the world and you're sitting there nitpicking it. Like, there's no way to win them.
Medium rare plus.
plus with a minus.
I have a friend of mine who does that, and it's like a big joke. And he found like it was like, see, at this high-end restaurant, that's how they ordered. I'm like, bro, we're out at Outback. I'm like, please. And he like sent the state back, and I'm like, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah, you're at Outback. That's hilarious.
Bro. Eat your steak.
Yeah.
Just order medium. Yeah. It'll be like medium plus. And I'm like, what does that even?
I always get and I'm not shy around there. Like, I'll talk to drywall, right? But like, if I go out to dinner and someone's complaining, like, I just have to put my head down because it's like, I'm eating my meal. I know it's damn good. So like, I don't know. Maybe I eat anything too. So it's like maybe that's the problem. But I'm just like, dude, like it's like example, like kind of like your Outback. Like you just paid $31 for a steak, and now you're telling them it's 10 degrees off or something.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But I mean, I get to an extent. Like I went out to dinner one time with my father, and he ordered like medium steak or medium rare, and that thing came blue as blue. Like I've never seen a steak that blue in my life. So like that was the only time I've ever seen him be like, "Hey, we were at a nice steakhouse, so I would have done the exact same. Like, you know, this thing is like cold out of the cooler cold. You know,
You do that.
I get that.
All right. Well, Drew, I know we've alluded to it, but both of us have quite a bit on our bench to get done today, and I
Mm-hmm.
I could do this for 2 hours, but for time's sake and editing purposes, I do know we got to bring this to a close. Man, I appreciate you coming on here and making the time for this so much. This has been an absolute pleasure and such a fun conversation.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, it's always good to link up with colleagues and things like that. So I greatly respect you guys putting this on for people, and I listen to it myself, so I know if I listen to it and it keeps my attention, which I have a very hard attention to keep, it's going to keep a lot of people. So thank you guys for doing it.
Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome.
Thank you. Again, thank you. I tell every guest that we have a good time with, we're gonna have to have you on again. We'll create some space here so that we have some more stories. And
Cool.
if you'll push us towards Blaine for the future, we'd love to have
Sure.
you on. And
Yep.
we're gonna try to figure out when we can come to Nashville.
Yes, we gotta make that happen.
Awesome.
because at your shop, and we need to catch up with Blaine and obviously hit up Jack Daniels while we're there.
Hey, sure.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, man.
Well, I
Well,
appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit stop here, and I will chat with you soon, man. Take care.
All right, y'all be safe.
All right,
See you,
thank
man.
Well, that's another one done. Time to pack it in. Brad and Dusty signing off with a tired grin. Got stones to set and problems to fix before we're through. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll complain to you next week too. Back to the bench. Back to the bench. Where the size and jobs are endless and the deadlines make you clench. We'll be right here, torch in hand. Two guys trying to understand why every ring's an heirloom and every rush job's planned. Back to the bench. See you next week.
We'll still do. I'll cut a lot of this out. I'm just making sure everything's recording and good to go. Yeah, one day I'm gonna have to send. One day Brad's got to go out to New Approach because it is such a fun.
For sure, man.
And I had to do the math this morning because I couldn't even remember when I was out there, but it was 8
Yeah.
years ago this month.
Hey, I couldn't remember either. Time flies, so like I can't even keep track of like
Oh.
how long I've been when you have a kid, it's just like
Yep.
you lose track.
Yep.
Now, hold on, just one.
I just have one, a 4-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Now imagine 5. I don't know what I'm doing after this, to be honest.
It's funny.
Coming and sitting on the bench and working in the store is like the only sense of normalcy I have.
Yeah, my business partner that works here with me, he's got 3 under 3. Well, now the oldest just turned, should be 4 in December, and I'm like, bro,
That's
the
not
grind.
At least my youngest is 3 now instead of being under 3, so that's not
Yeah,
terrible.
start to help out.
It's fun though. Never a dull moment, that's for sure. That's what I was waiting on you to hop in. Dude, I totally forgot that y'all were at different time zones.
Well, when you text me, and I was like, man, I was outside in the outdoor kitchen. My son wanted me to start a little fire for him. I was like, I'm like 10 minutes from my store. I was like, I'll start one for you. And then I was like, you text me. I was like, maybe he thinks I'm Eastern time.
He sure did. He sure did.
We got our inside man from Stoller over here
Blowing us up.
blowing up. You know, we're not going to talk about on this episode. We have to tread that subject very lightly, by the way.
Yes.
Do you think one day in the future we can get Blaine on here? You think he would do something like this?
For sure.
Okay. I didn't want to
Yeah.
bother him, and
No, I'll tell him.
we're still trying to figure out so much to make sure we have a good workflow. Like today, figuring out technology, not even realizing we're in different time zones. Like this is the kind of stuff we're trying to figure out before we start having too many guests on. But we
Yeah.
have such a busy summer that I think this summer we can actually start having just random people on because it makes our life
Yeah.
easier.
You should get maybe Jason on too.
Oh yes. Ron has mentioned him. Oh no. I'm thinking.
Yeah, Ron probably has mentioned him. Jason Marchia-Father.
Okay. Yes.
He's
I think
wealth of knowledge.
When we were there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What we'll do is we're gonna do a fake intro.
Cool.
And then, so we'll leave room for some editing stuff. And then once we intro, I'll give a brief description, Drew Hadley, formerly of New Approach.
Yeah, I still work there 3 or 4 weeks a year, but
Okay, so you're still kind of there.
yeah.
And
Hey, Blaine texts me all the time. Where's this? Where's that? And I'm like, bro.
Save that story then. And then Southern Diamond Jewelry, correct?
Yeah. Southern Diamond Jewelers.
Southern
Jewelers.
Diamond Jewelers. All right.
Fine
Yep.
jewelers.
Let's do
Not fine jewelers.
a fake intro. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Clap. All right.